Good morning, everyone. My name is Damas Silva, and I'm here representing Redes on behalf of the OneNet project to introduce this training course on interoperability and IT. This will consist on a briefly explanation on the topic of interoperability and how the OneNet project contributes to the definition and advancement of interoperability. The agenda that I had for today includes the coverage of these 6 topics, where firstly I would like to briefly present the OneNet high-level objectives. Secondly, to delve into the topic of interoperability, to understand what it is and why is it important and why we are working on it. Then what OneNet puts forward as a contribution to the topic, including the OneNet system, which is a core development of OneNet that facilitates the implementation of interoperable systems. With as some concluding remarks, I'll then talk briefly about the upcoming data spaces and what challenges and opportunities might arise from the implementation of this concept in the EU. To start with a brief context of the OneNet project, I put here the high-level objectives of the project. The primary goal of OneNet is very straightforward, yet very ambitious, which is to create an unified European electrical system. This, of course, means intervening at several levels, namely at creating new business models, defining new data exchange processes, and also consider the infrastructure and the role it might have on these new processes. And this, of course, includes also developing a scalable IT architecture that allows for the integration of all market participants, from individuals to large-scale producers, regardless of their location in Europe. The essence of this initiative is to ensure universal participation in a diversified market, promoting also efficiency and sustainability. OneNet further proves this implementation and these developments by having 13 demonstration sites with activities that implement the solutions brought forward by the project. Now, to start with the topic of interoperability. What is it? Why is it crucial? Why does it matter? This is a topic that is at the heart of OneNet. OneNet has worked on interoperability since the beginning, and interoperability ensures that different systems, different platforms, different stakeholders can communicate and collaborate effectively, having optimized processes for data exchange. And in fact, interoperability is about data exchange. We are talking about the ability of organizations to communicate between each other. And when we talk about interoperability, we must consider several levels. What kind of interoperability are we talking about? At which level of an interoperable system we are at the moment? It's easy to start explaining interoperability from the bottom up. So firstly, as I have in the slide, these 4 levels, we can start by technical interoperability, which is the ability for 2 systems to exchange some data. The data that the system exchange is not important. We are just caring about the ability of the flow of data. Sort of like a phone call in which we are talking about with other person, and we know that data is flowing technically, but the systems do not understand really what's the meaning of that data. If we go a level upwards, we have then after that the syntactic interoperability, which means that we are exploring a defined structure and a defined data format for the exchange of data. In this level, besides the ability of exchanging some information, we are exchanging information in a structured way. We are knowing that we are speaking a certain language or a certain system language. If we go a level up, we have the semantic interoperability. In this level is where things start becoming a bit more interesting because the exchange data has the same meaning across organizations. At this level, the systems know automatically what is the meaning of the exchange data. There are no room for double meanings of what we are talking about. In this level is where the information models, the data models play a role. And then on the top of all, we have the organizational interoperability. In here, we are not talking we are not talking about technical aspects of interoperability. We are talking about overarching processes for communication and cooperation between organizations. So with this, we might understand that IT is a foundation for interoperability, but it alone does not achieve 100% interoperability. It is more than that, especially on that upward level. And we have also on my slide this very good example, which is the data exchange reference architecture from Bridge Initiative, to which the OneNet project also contributed. And this data exchange reference architecture maps the smart grids architectural model um, with some technologies that fit the layers defined in the model. And we can do direct mapping between the layers of the reference architecture with the levels of interoperability. If we look at the component layer, we are talking about technical interoperability, technologies that allows the flow of information. If we look at the communication layer, we are talking about syntactic interoperability. We are looking at models such as JSON, such as XML or CSV, in which we have a predefined data structure to exchange data. If we look at the information model, we are talking about semantic interoperability. We are in here looking at CIM or SAREF ontologies, which put a meaning to the data that we are exchanging. And then on the function and business layer is where organizational interoperability is. And the OneNet project is looking at the entire value chain of interoperability and work in specifically 4 areas, which we might say they are process standardization, technological enablement, stakeholder participation, and the overarching topic, which is cybersecurity and privacy. Having understood these high-level objectives that I explained before about interoperability, I'm now able to explain how OneNet contributes to it. OneNet is not just a solution, it's not just a concept, it is in fact a living ecosystem. And our developments included a system for data exchange, which is, I would say, the primary overarching development of the project, the OneNet system. A definition of OneNet cross-platform services, cybersecurity framework and recommendation, an integrated data space management, the extension of the CIM model for these cross-platform services that I mentioned before, and also the definition of the OneNet data governance framework. And these elements work together to facilitate seamless data exchange, to enhance platform integration, and also to ensure the data privacy and data sovereignty. It is important to note that these contributions are not just about connecting systems, but above all to foster a collaborative environment where data is more accessible and more actionable. On the right, we have an example of the cross-platform services that the project developed, and these are divided into several categories, but we defined clear data exchange services that allow the the exchange of this data in a way which does not leave room for double understanding. So systems know what they are talking about. Now to delve a little bit on the OneNet system, because we believe that OneNet system is a catalyst for interoperability, since it encompasses many of the components that I explained before. And the OneNet system has behind a reference architecture that was defined more near the beginning of the project, which consists on three logical layers. The bottom layer, which includes the data sources and the stakeholders, the participants of the architecture. The middle layer that allows the creation of the OneNet network of platforms. This is where interoperability happens, in fact, because this is where the European or the national platforms come together to form an European network of platforms and implement the cross-platform services that I referred before. And the top layer is also a core part of the OneNet reference architecture and includes necessary specifications for data harmonization, ontologies, data modeling, service orchestration, among others. Behind the OneNet reference architecture, and one very important part of this architecture is the OneNet connector. The OneNet connector is deployed locally together with the digital platforms that participate in the OneNet ecosystem to facilitate the exchange of data in a semantic way by putting a meaning to that data and ensuring that the data has the same understanding throughout Europe. This OneNet connector is composed of 5 building blocks that I will not enter in too much detail, but just referring that it has a graphical user interface, a data app, a context broker, and IDS-based connectors, and also some data services, making this connector fully compliant with initiatives such as the International Data Spaces Association. And this is my next topic, which is looking ahead. OneNet envisions a world where data spaces solutions revolutionize the energy data exchange. This future is not far-fetched. We are already laying the ground with some R&I projects and cross-sector collaboration. OneNet, in fact, puts forward this OneNet system, which may lay the ground for the development of future energy data spaces. And the goal is to establish a governance model that supports this vision, ensuring that data sharing is secure, compliant, and beneficial for all stakeholders. But what is a data space? In fact, a data space, according to the Data Spaces Support Center, is a framework that facilitates data sharing within a data ecosystem. It is characterized by a defined structure where participants agree to trade and share data in a manner that is compliant with established data values and relevant regulations. This ensures fair treatment for all parties involved, and businesses are able to secure their data sharing, but also open a bit more their data sharing by complying with all the legal framework that are behind. Ultimately, the usage of data spaces will allow cross-sectorial exchange of data and also the creation of more complex services with additional added value. And within OneNet, we are also contributing to these initiatives and to building new data spaces specifically for the energy domain. To finalize my presentation, I would like to leave you with some core challenges and opportunities that may arise from the implementation of data spaces in the current energy ecosystem. As challenges, we have identified the harmonization of data models, ontologies, and architectures, making sure that these technologies are in fact able to represent the data that we need to share to fulfill the processes that are defined. To the definition also of clear processes for data sharing and access to data, which are which are very complex and becoming more complex as the time passes by. The assurance of governance and data sovereignty within the EU, the definition of flexible and agile legal frameworks, because as we know, the technical developments sometimes move faster than the legal developments, and these two must be aligned if we want to take the full advantage of the technological systems that we have in place, and also the complexity of business models, which is growing. But on the other hand, as opportunities, we also have the creation of new business models and level playing field for new actors. With data spaces, with solutions like OneNet, information is more easily accessible for everyone, not just for particular actors. We can also provide new services and develop new services. In fact, everyone can contribute. And in here, we might be talking about new services for demand side flexibility. We are new services for optimization of buildings or optimization of network operations, comfort, etc. The cost-effective operation of the whole system, the solutions like the OneNet system and which are based on this collaboration network between DSOs and TSOs, create additional data streams that improve the operation and the efficiency of the operations. And then the collaboration between stakeholders is also key to develop and to further develop these data exchange aspects that I referred before. And lastly, the consumer empowerment and involvement. The data, the energy domain is moving from, let's say, a reality in which the consumer was just preoccupied on consuming energy and paying the bills, and now the consumer have the chance to participate actively on some markets, on some services, and also to improve their consumption and their participation in the energy ecosystem. This is what I have to share with you. Thank you very much, and have a rest of a nice day.